15,000 Miles on 48 Cents is a story about Joe Szalanski, one of many sons of Eastern European immigrants coming of age in Western Pennsylvania in the late 1920s. It was a time and place where young men from such backgrounds were destined to become laborers in the steel mills and coal mines owned by the era's captains of industry, like Frick and Carnegie. As a steelworker, Joe would be joining the tens of thousands of men who were risking their lives, testing limits of physical and mental endurance. For years, Joe watched his father come home dirty and tired, seeing what the mill could do to men. He rebelled against being earmarked for such a life and dared to look elsewhere to live and work. In 1928, at age 18, Joe left his East Vandergrift home for Chicago, landing a job in the radio industry. His sense of achievement was short-lived. The onset of the Great Depression threw Joe and millions of others into long-term joblessness, sending him back home, defeated in this attempt to escape Western Pennsylvania in the steel mill. Back in East Vandergrift, with no job or prospect of a job, Joe rose up in a defiant response to the Depression. He convinced his friend Kelly that they couldn't just sit around letting the Depression beat them down. Instead, they would take the trip of a lifetime. They would ride the rails to all 48 states of 1932 America. Joe would write down their travels in a journal and then send postcards home from every state. To show he can live by his wits, Joe leaves with just 48 cents, a penny a state. There's a fascination with hobo life. It evokes an aura of freedom. Go anywhere you want, when you want. No job worries, no responsibilities. But it didn't take Joe and Kelly long to see that this life could be hard and dangerous. They saw people get hurt, getting on and off trains. They slept in boxcars, hobo jungles, homeless missions. They ate in these missions and jungles. Charities fed them and they bummed around for food and money. After doing this for 16 states, Kelly went back home. Now alone, Joe remained determined to get to all 48 states and have fun doing it. His journal recounts a continual noting of unusual and amusing incidents, colorful characters, and seeing a variety of spectacular scenery. Still, uncertainty and danger were ever present. Booted off a freight, riding through California's Mojave Desert, he picked up food and water at a store near the tracks and learned there was a water tank 22 miles up the tracks where he could get back on a train. The 22-mile walk alone through the desert was transformative. Initially frightening, it became reflective. His thoughts began to focus more and more on East Vandergrift, his family, his friends. It was clear now this was going to be his place in the world. Upon his successful return home, he was greeted by a relieved family and townspeople who saw him as a hero. He was back in East Vandergrift for life now. The decision he knew was going to put him into the mill. He was hired into the Vandergrift mill when the Depression finally ended, then transferred to the newly built Irvin Works some 30 miles away. Reluctant to give up the sense of solidarity and community they had in East Vandergrift, Joe and his friends opted for the long daily commute. He married, became the father of a son, and the town and the mill he once tried to leave behind were now integral parts of his life. The story could have ended there, but destiny had a different fate in store for him. In early 1940, at age 30, the mill he earlier tried to avoid claimed him when a steel slab fell from a crane, crushing him to death. He was long remembered in East Vandergrift by his journals and by the postcards that memorialized his epic trip. Fellow steelworkers placed a monument near the gate of the Irvin Works, honoring those who were killed at work in the mill. Joe's is the first engraved on it. He will be a steel worker forever.